Okay, welcome to the session on MAC 2602 today. Right, I was saying that since you are writing, there are things that I would like to alert you, which I didn't properly look at. You can expect some bit of theory questions on things like risk and stuff like that. So for your expectations, I was asking you to maybe browse through some of the ways that they can ask, like on this question 4 on January 2022 at your own time. You can just go in the study guide. I think those answers will be straightforward and they will be in the study guide. You can also look at question 4 on this November 2022 paper. So they are all question 4s. So please find time to look at them, and then you can see if you can be able to do them, so that you can be able to deal with them. Right. So I'm going to start with this October. Right. We are going to have a class today. Since you are writing on Thursday, we'll meet again on Wednesday at 5 o'clock. So let's meet again on Wednesday at 5 o'clock, so that we can be able, because there are three main questions that they normally ask you. One on cost of capital, one on financial analysis, and one on capital budgeting. Then they will then pick the other question from the rest of the topics. So the three main topics are those ones. We've already done them: financial and non-financial analysis, then the cost of capital, then the capital budgeting. So I'm going to look at this paper, the October 2022 paper, right? October 2021 paper, right? I'll just quickly browse through some of the things I will not be writing. Right, so we'll start from the first question, and we want to try to refresh and do up to the third question by the time that we write. Then you can also try the February 2022 paper. You try to do also question 1, 2, and 3. Right. Please, if I'm repeating what we did, tell me so that I will not repeat. Instead, maybe I can move on to something else. Right. Right. That's October. November 2021. Question 1. Right. Now, according to the required, calculate the following liquidity ratios. And you should be very careful the year that they give you. They say current ratio for 2021. Right. Our current ratio, let me just open it also on another gadget. Right, so that's A. Right, so our current ratio to calculate our current ratio, we say current assets over current liabilities. Current assets over current liabilities. It measures the extent to which our current assets can be able to cover the current liabilities. Right, so if we get here, this is for 2021, This is our 2021. Our current assets are given here, 881,710. And then our current liabilities, we are also given here, 654,398. So we divide those two figures. So we'd say 881,710 over 654,398. What do you get?
$1.347.
It's what?
1.347.
5 is to 1. So it means for every 1 rand of liabilities, we've got 1 rand 35. So this entity is able to meet its short-term requirements when they fall due. Remember that current liabilities are usually funded by current assets, right? Then we have asset test ratio. Right, the asset test ratio takes into account the fact that sometimes to sell inventory, it might not be all that easy. So the asset test ratio now takes out the inventory. So it's just like our current asset ratio. It's only that it now takes out inventory. So it will be the same ratio, except that we are now taking out inventory. Right, so we can say our current assets, so our asset test is current assets minus inventory. So here on the current assets, we'll then go and subtract this inventory that we are given. So exclude this 489,642. We'll exclude it. So this asset test, it says no, inventory is not readily available in cash. We never know when it will be sold. So when we're assessing the ability, let's also assess the ability without taking into account inventory, because it doesn't have a definite day that it will necessarily be sold. Right, what do you get?
$1,599.
1
0.599.
Okay, 0. So we can say 0.6 to 2 decimal places. Thank you, Ngumalo, also. Right, so that means we only have 60 cents of current liabilities, excluding inventory, to cover our current assets. Right. Any other questions? Right. Then we'll move on to the next one. So that means you can see that the current assets, if we take out inventory, they cannot be able to cover up the current liabilities. So there is a heavy reliance on the inventory in terms of covering the short-term debts. Right. Let's move on. Cash conversion cycle, it measures the number of days that it takes for us to, now this one wants for 2021, 2020 and 2021, to recover our cash after investing it. Right, so we'd say our cash conversion cycle is this is equal to the inventory days That is the number of days that it is taking to us to sell our inventory from the day that we sell it, plus the receivables days. That is the number, the average number of days that it is taking our customers to pay us, minus the payables days. That is the number of days that it is taking our us to pay our suppliers. Right, so we'll take a year we're given these things. Sometimes you're not given, so you'll have to calculate. So we're given these days here. So again, simply say 30 for 2021, 30 plus 35 minus 45. So it's say 30 plus 35 minus 45, which is equal to
20.
20 days. So on average in 2021, after investing our money in the current assets, it's taking us about 20 days to recover our money. So if we invest today in our current assets, on average, it will take us 20 days to be able to get back our cash after investing it in current assets. All right. Then we've got the 2022. Which is 26 plus 15 minus 30. What do we get?
$11.
It's what?
11.
11. Thank you so much. 11 days. Then they say comment on each of the ratios above and provide your reason for your answer. Right. Now the current ratio, considering that it's above 1, that means the entity is able to meet the short-term obligations as they fall due. Right. So we're saying the entity can meet short-term obligations as they fall due, considering that the current assets current ratio is more than 1. Right. But you are saying there is a need to be cautious is a slight change in current assets may lead to the company failing to meet short-term debts as they fall due using immediately available resources. Right, so it can be very difficult to, a safer ratio can be something like which is 2:1, but it can differ from industry to industry. A better comment could be made if we had industry ratios. Right, then the acid test, right. The acid test ratio shows that the current assets excluding inventory are not able to meet short-term obligations. As they fall due. is the ratio is below 1. So we're saying if we need to pay debts, it might be very difficult to use the cash that if debts fall due now, we might not be able to pay them because we don't have what? The financial, short-term financial means to do that. All right. Then the cash conversion cycle deteriorated from, yes, Dimpo.
While we were calculating the ratios, this the values that we're getting, and then you're saying is 2:1. The one, where is it coming from?
It's just like I'm saying, a safer. It's not there on the question. A safer ratio can be 2:1. It's not on the question.
Okay.
But in general, for a business to be safe, if they can have a ratio of around 2:1, they will be in a safer position. Is that right?
All right.
So a business can be safer if their current assets are double the current liabilities. Then the asset test, normally we expect it, if it's a 1:1, it can be safer at 1:1.
Okay. Thank you.
Right. So the case, but now they will differ depending on the industry. That's why I said that if we'd been given industry ratios, then we could provide a better comment. Right. The cash conversion cycle deteriorated from 11 days to 20 days, which means it is now taking longer to recover investments in current assets. Right. If you can see, the major reason was the huge jump receivable days from 15 to 35 days, whilst the payables days reduced from 45 to 30 days. I think I'm making a mistake there. Let me just check my statement there, because there's something that is not making sense on my statement. This one actually decreased. Oh, I think I wrote wrongly those things. This is 2022. 2021, sorry. And the other one is 2020. That's why I was mixing up my interpretation there. So if you can see, we improved the way we were paying our debtors. We are now paying earlier, but our own clients are paying late. So it doesn't make sense for business. Because we've improved, we are now paying our debtors in 30 days instead of 45. But our own clients are now paying in 35 days instead of 15. I'm not mainly talking about the inventory days because it's around 4 days difference. So there has to be better management of working capital in order to improve. Thank you. Right. Then calculate the following debt ratios for 2020 and 2021. Debt to equity. Right. Right, would say this is part B. It's equity ratio. We should also know that they asked us to calculate for both years. That is 2021 and 2020. Right. So this one, it's long-term interest bearing debt over equity. So leave 2022, 2021, sorry, 2020. Note that we are saying long-term interest-bearing debt. So it's a long-term loan and debentures, such things. So you go on the liabilities, non-current. If you can see the interest-bearing borrowings are these ones. That's the long-term debt, interest-bearing debt. Over our equity is this one here, which is given here. So would say for 2021, our interest-bearing debt 123,300. Then in 2020, it's 83,252. Interest-bearing debt, we're talking about non-current liabilities. Then our equity, we have 691,812. Here we have got 8684,589. Right. What do we get? Right. Thank you. We get 0.1783, 18, then the other one, 0.12. So actually our debt levels have gone down. They've gone up from 0.12, which is about 12% to 18%. Right, then the second one, they said the debt ratio. Right. Now, our debt ratio is our total debts, which is a current assets plus current liabilities over the total assets, which is the current assets plus current liabilities. Right. We also have (2021) and 2020. Right, our total debts, we take these current liabilities, these ones here, non-current, we add to the current liabilities. That's our total debt. Then our total assets are given here, which is the current plus non-current. Right, so we're going to say right, in 2021, would say 222,795 plus 654,398 over total assets 1,569,005. And here would say 185,002 plus 455,384 over 1,324,975. Right, so this one will also usually multiply by hundreds to express it as a percentage to find the proportion of debt in our, so that's 55.91. Okay, so we can say here, (48.34), 55.91, and 48.34%. That's our debt ratio. It just shows the proportion of debts within our assets. Right. Explain what are the potential reasons for the movement for each ratio. Right. If you can see, our debt ratio moved from 0.12 to 0.18. The reason can be we took more debt. As you can see, our debt was 83. Then they took 123,300. So the debt ratio to equity ratio may have gone up due to funding of current needs through increased debt. So our proportions that we're using maybe on current projects, we're now using a larger proportion of debt than before, which can push up the debt to equity ratio. Right. Then the total debts over total assets, total debt over total assets, the same reason that we have above, can also be used above on the one below, but you can't use one reason in an exam. So we can say the debt ratio may have been pushed Let's say, let me just see the equity. Okay, the interest bearing, it went up, and the assets. Right. Lower equity side. Right, you can by slight changes in equity in proportion to capital, the increase in assets. So as long as your assets push up more than the equity, then there will be an increase in the debt ratio. So which can be caused by the desire to move towards the targeted capital structure. Sometimes you might find that you have got what we call an optimum capital structure, which is the relationship between debt and equity. So maybe you can see that you are still below that optimum structure. So what you can do, you can take more debt so that we can go up, so that we can reach that targeted structure. You'd find that that targeted structure might be cheaper in terms of managing finances in the cost, in terms of the cost. Any questions there? Right. All right. What does the dividend yield ratio measure? Right. The dividend yield measures the extent of the return paid to investors in relation to the share price. Remember, the value of investors is in the shares. So if we find the dividend over the share price, then that will be our dividend yield. Right. Then they said calculate the dividend yield ratio. Right. Our dividend yield is normally the dividend per share over the market price per share. Right. That's the dividend per share. We normally multiply by 100, expressed as a percentage, divided by the share price. Right. Dividend per share were given here. Share price were given here. Right. So we can say All right, would say they didn't specify for the years, so but it can be safer to just do both years. So we can say year it's 60, year is 250. Right, there's something that you have to be very much aware of. This one is given in cents, and this one is given in rands. So you have to be very careful there. Right, so we can say we can convert this. We can say 0 point. You can either convert both of them to cents, or you convert both of them to rands. You get the same answer. Right, so this is multiplied by 100. Then we divide by the share price, which we are given is 25.50. Multiply by 100. Divide by the share price, which is 45. What do we get? I think they were answers that I was given. I don't know if they are correct. Is it, does it remain at 2.35?
Yes.
Okay, so that's 2.35%. And the other year, thank you, 5.56%. How does the dividend yield calculate above compared to the industry norm? Right. What is the industry norm? Yeah. Industry dividend yield. This year is 3%, but last year it was 5%. So as you can see, there was so there was 3% this year, and this year then it's 5%. So it's 3% this year, last year 5. So if you can see, we are below here at 2.35 against 3, and last year we were above. Is that right? So we can say that the dividend yield of the company is deteriorated. As last year, the dividend yield was above the industry average. But this year, it is below the industry average. So we can say the performance of the company has actually gone down. Any questions there? Right. Then identify and discuss 3 limitations of financial information that the ratios above are based. Right. Limitations of financial information. Right. There are various limitations that we have as far as financial information, information produced by financial results is concerned. Right. The financial statements are the responsibility of management. Though reviewed by independent auditors. And we cannot place 100% reliance on financial information. So the accuracy of the information, we cannot just be overly confident that the information is accurate. It might be wrong. Remember that it's being prepared by management themselves. So they can even manipulate the financial statements. Right. Financial statements mainly reflect historical information. Which might be rendered irrelevant due to significant changes. For example, inflation. Normally, when we are reporting financial statements, they will be for a past year. So there's a possibility that since the information that is coming from the past, it might be outdated to this particular time that we are making a decision. All right. Then, to some extent, financial statements are subjective. As they can reflect, they can be based on judgments of those preparing the financial statements. For example, to determine the accounting policy, you as management and the accountants determine the accounting policy that you are, the depreciation policy that you're going to use. The allowance for credit losses is subjective for you to determine how much should be the allowance. So all those things will give some, will eliminate that confidence in the financial statement. All right. The financial statements may not help predicting the future. But when we do business valuation, we know that they can also give us a guide. But remember that the past is gone. We're now looking at the future. So how are we going to manage the future? Right. So those can be some of the limitations of financial information. Any questions? Right. So when we meet, we'll start on, so we'll meet on Wednesday at 5, we'll start on question 2. And I don't think we'll be able to go to question 3. So just look at question 3 also and raise your questions when we meet. Thank you so much and God bless you richly.